The energy inside Wimbledon on this particular afternoon had that unmistakable feeling reserved for tennis's biggest occasions, and one name kept surfacing again and again among the crowd. At only 19, Alex Eala had already carved out a place as one of the sport's most talked-about rising talents. She had shattered ceilings for the Philippines, given an entire nation a reason to dream, and walked into London, carrying herself like someone who knew she deserved a seat among the game's elite. Nobody expected an easy road ahead, but plenty sensed they were about to witness the start of something extraordinary. As she stepped onto that legendary grass, there was a calm, steely focus behind her eyes, the kind that told you she hadn't come just to take part. She had come to show she belonged. On the other side of the net waited Jasmine Paolini, a seasoned veteran whose career had been built on patience, consistency, and a rare talent for keeping her cool when things got tense. It was the kind of matchup tennis lovers live for: youth versus seasoning, fearless hunger against hard-earned grit. From the very first exchanges, it was obvious this wouldn't be a routine encounter. Every rally carried weight, and every point suggested the crowd was in for something worth remembering. Eala didn't ease into things. Her opening shots cracked off the strings with startling confidence, biting deep into the corners and putting Paolini on her heels almost from the first game. The stands buzzed louder with every winner she produced. This wasn't just good tennis. She was playing without a trace of hesitation. Her footwork across the grass looked effortless, even though the surface usually rewards players with far more mileage on tour. Her forehand kept finding angles that shouldn't have existed, while her backhand held firm under pressure. Each point she won only added to her belief. Commentators started remarking on how composed and mature her game looked for someone this early in her career. Rather than freezing under the spotlight, she looked completely comfortable on one of the sport's grandest stages. The momentum kept tilting her way. Paolini, known for grinding opponents down over long exchanges, suddenly found herself on the back foot, reacting instead of controlling. Eala's fearless style stripped the Italian of the rhythm she typically relies on. Filipino fans scattered throughout the arena roared every time their star landed another clean winner, and even the neutrals couldn't help but admire the fearless brand of tennis playing out in front of them. It wasn't just entertaining, it felt like watching the arrival of someone who might reshape the women's game. When Eala closed out the first set in convincing fashion, the stadium erupted. Cameras panned across grinning fans waving Philippine flags, many of them barely able to process what they were seeing. One set from an enormous upset, the dream suddenly felt within reach. But anyone who follows Grand Slam tennis knows single sets rarely tell the whole story. Champions are defined by how they respond when the walls start closing in, and Jasmine Paolini had made a career out of exactly that kind of fight. As the second set got underway, small shifts began creeping in. Nothing dramatic enough for the casual viewer to catch right away, but the seasoned tennis crowd could feel the balance of the match starting to move. Paolini grew more deliberate in the rallies, no longer trying to out-hit her opponent, but instead pulling her side to side, stretching out the points and waiting for her moments instead of forcing them. The tennis got harder. Every rally demanded a little more than the last. Suddenly, holding serve felt like a fight rather than a formality. The mood in the stadium shifted with it. The excitement stayed, but tension crept in alongside it. Every point now carried extra weight. Every error came with steeper consequences. You could feel the pressure thickening with each passing game. Neither competitor wanted to be the first to crack. The rallies stretched on, forcing both players to dig into reserves they didn't know they had. This was exactly the kind of match Wimbledon crowds dream about. Then came the moment that would overshadow everything else that followed. In the middle of a hard-fought game, Eala ripped a forehand that looked flawless from every angle. The ball rocketed toward the sideline at blistering pace, before landing so tight to the paint that most spectators were certain it had clipped the line. Eala reacted on instinct, raising her arms in celebration, sure she'd struck a clean winner, but the call from the line came almost immediately. For a split second, the entire court seemed to freeze. Eala's face shifted from triumph to disbelief. She spun toward the official, clearly baffled by what she'd just heard. A murmur rippled through the stands as fans traded confused glances. Some clapped in approval, others shook their heads. Uncertainty hung over the court like fog. Convinced the call was wrong, Eala threw the challenge. Everyone braced for what the replay would show. A tense hush fell over the arena as thousands of eyes locked onto the big screen. Seconds later, the replay backed up what many had already guessed. The ball had landed in. A ripple of reaction ran through the crowd. Some gasped, others cheered. Most assumed the point would simply be corrected. Instead, confusion took over because of how the challenge had been called and the sequence leading up to it. The original ruling stood. The point wasn't handed to Eala. Regardless of whether fans fully grasped the rule being applied, one thing was clear. The young Filipino star looked visibly rattled. She accepted it because there was nothing else to do, but the frustration was written all over her face. She trudged back to the baseline, trying to reset, yet something in her posture had shifted. The fire that had powered her brilliant start suddenly felt much harder to reach. Tennis is often called one of the most mentally punishing sports there is. Matches can turn on a single moment, not always because of what it does to the score, but because of what it does inside a player's head. Confidence can vanish in a heartbeat. Doubt slips in uninvited. Many watching sensed exactly that shift taking place. Paolini, recognizing her opening, stayed composed. She kept executing her game plan while Eala hunted for the spark that had carried her earlier. The second set gradually got away from her. Every missed opportunity fed the frustration, while every point Paolini claimed built her belief further. What had begun as a statement performance turned into a fight for survival. The final set became a test of will. Neither player gave an inch easily. Extended rallies pushed both to their physical breaking point, and every game felt like it could swing the entire match. The crowd stayed locked in, roaring after nearly every exchange, as the moment harder than most people watching at home could really appreciate. Every athlete trains to bounce back from setbacks, but certain moments stick around longer than others, especially when doubt gets mixed in. Her tone stayed measured rather than heated. She never raised her voice or came after anyone directly. Instead, she described how tough it was to compete at the top level while sensing that a pivotal moment had slipped outside her control. She made clear she respected her opponent and recognized the caliber of tennis Jasmine Paolini had brought to the match. Still, she couldn't shake the sense that the disputed call had shifted more than just the numbers on the board. It had shifted the emotional current of the whole match. The room grew quieter as she kept talking. Even veteran reporters seemed to sense they were hearing something more personal than a typical post-match exchange. Eala wasn't just explaining a loss, she was walking people through the invisible mental fight every top athlete faces when momentum slips away. Her honesty resonated because it felt real instead of rehearsed. She voiced her frustration without lobbing accusations, and that restraint made her words land even harder. Within minutes of the press conference wrapping up, clips of her remarks were already spreading across social media. Fans posted short clips next to slow-motion replays of the disputed point, while sports outlets ran headlines asking whether the controversy had unfairly overshadowed a genuinely great match. The story spread far beyond the grounds of Wimbledon. Across every platform, millions weighed in on the incident. Some argued technology should have caught the error before confusion set in. Others questioned whether current procedures were built to handle matches with this much on the line. Before long, a hashtag in her support was trending across several countries, with thousands rallying behind the young player. Plenty of people who hadn't even watched the match start to finish found themselves hunting down highlights, curious what all the noise was about. Creators combed through the disputed point frame by frame, replaying it endlessly, trying to pin down exactly what had happened. Each replay sparked fresh arguments. Every take pulled in thousands of responses. It became one of those rare sports moments where the debate felt almost as big as the match itself. Support rolled in from all over, but nowhere was it louder than back home in the Philippines. Broadcasts replayed the moment all day long, while news outlets and websites gave Eala's run extensive coverage. For countless Filipinos, the final score mattered far less than the nerve their young star had shown competing against one of the sport's best on one of its grandest stages. Messages of support flooded her accounts by the hundreds of thousands. Fans praised not just her tennis, but the poise she carried through a genuinely difficult interview. Across the country, the mood shifted from disappointment over the result to pride in everything she had achieved. She had carried the Philippines' colors with real composure, and win or lose, many felt she had earned the respect of the entire tennis world. Fans from other countries joined in too. Tennis followers across Europe, North America, Australia, and Asia began weighing in on their own views about officiating standards in the modern game.